Hi everyone, I want to do a part 5 of Isaiah, and yes, we started chapter 60, but I eventually found my problem with my sound. My sound wasn't very good. I saw in the previous videos, and I changed the setting, and now suddenly it sounds much better. Sadly, I didn't notice that before. But yeah, this would probably be a better sounding video. Yes, I'm going to look at again, like I said, the part 5 of the second Exodus in Isaiah. We have 5 chapters, I think, to go through. Isaiah 60. I'll start there. Be enlightened, O Jerusalem, for your light is come, the glory of Yahweh is risen upon you. Behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and there shall be gross darkness on the nations, but Yahweh shall appear upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. And kings shall walk in your light, and nations in your brightness. I think this has to do also with us receiving Yahweh's glory as the remnant of Israel are gathered, and they walk in Yahushua's footsteps. They have the fruits of the Spirit. They shine their lights in their hearts so that the world can see it, and they're going to be a blessing to other nations as much as they can be. And Yahuwah is going to use and set an example to the world of how they are supposed to live and be. And so Israel, the remnant, is not just going to go to South Africa and eventually into the original territory of Israel in the bottom part of Africa. They're not just going to go there and settle and do their thing and lie on their backs and do nothing. No, they're going to shine their light to the world. They're going to minister to the world as Yahweh leads them. And even if they have to go do missionary works, I don't know if this is what it means. It might mean that. But yes, they're going to shine their light and the world will see it. They're basically going to be priests for Yahuwah. That is what Yahuwah originally wanted the original Israel to be for him. Priests. That is what it says in his law. But of course they were rebellious and they didn't want to listen to him. So they couldn't be the priests for Yahuwah. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold thy children gathered. All the sons have come from far, and thy daughters shall be born on men's shoulders. Here it says that they will gather, second Exodus, from other nations to the one place where Yahweh is going to gather them. As I show in previous videos, it is South Africa. Please go watch those videos if you want to know where things will happen. Verse 5. Then shall you see and fear and be amazed in thine heart, for the wealth of the sea shall come round to you, and of nations and peoples and herds of camels shall come to you. The blessings, just like Israel with the first Exodus, were blessed by the Egyptians when they left, so also with the second Exodus, the remnant of Israel that will gather, they will also be blessed by the nations. And the camels of Midian and Gaifa shall cover you. All from Saba shall come bearing gold, and shall bring frankincense, and they shall publish the salvation of Yahweh. This verse 6, Saba is Queen Saba, is by the Sabi River, her area. That is in South Africa, and is basically the area of Mozambique, Zimbabwe and South Africa, the top part of South Africa. That area was where Queen Saba was. In the Bible it says Sheba, but you pronounce her name actually as Saba, the Queen of the South. And that's where Ophir is. And all the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered, and the rams of Nabaioth shall come, and acceptable sacrifice shall be offered on my altar, and my house of prayer shall be glorified. Who are these that fly as clouds and as doves who have young ones to me? The isles have waited for me, and the ships of Tarsus among the first, to bring the children from afar, and their silver and their gold with them, and that for the sake of the holy name of Yahuwah, and because the Holy One of Israel is glorified. And strangers, okay, so Tarsus is also thereby, that's the coastal town next to Ophir in Mozambique. Basically, today's Mozambique, that's where Tarsus was. And strangers shall build thy walls, and their kings shall wait upon you, for by reason of my wrath I smote thee, and by reason of mercy I loved thee. Like I said in a previous video, Yahweh's wrath is for a short period, but his mercy is everlasting. And thy gates shall be opened continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, to bring into thee the power of the Gentiles and their kings and as captives. As I said, the nations, in the previous video, the nations will fear. When Yahweh gathers his people and protects them, the nations will fear. Because they were trampling them before, but now they must pay obeisance to them. They must honor the true remnant because of Yahuwah. For the nations and the kings which will not serve you shall perish, and those nations shall be made utterly desolate. And the glory of Lebanon shall come to you with the cypress and pine and cedar together to glorify my holy place. And the sons of them that afflicted thee and of them that provoked thee shall come to thee in fear. Here it says the verse that I mentioned in the previous video. And thou shalt be called Zion, the city of the Holy One of Israel. We see here it talks about the original area of Israel in the bottom part of Africa. Because thou hast become desolate and hated, and there was no helper. Therefore I will make thee a perpetual gladness, a joy of many generations. We see here that it talks about desolation. This desolation, and there's many verses mentioning this. That is Israel and territories and Jerusalem. In Isaiah it says that it is desolate until the second Exodus. So at this very moment, Jerusalem and the Israel towns are desolate. So the one up there in Palestine is fake. It's not the real Israel, that's not the real Israel territory, and it's not the real Jerusalem. It's just some city, because according to the Bible, it is desolate. Jerusalem is desolate until the second Exodus, and that hasn't happened. And thou shalt suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall eat the wealth of the kings, and shall know that I am Yahuwah that saves you and delivers you, the Holy One of Israel. And for brass I will bring thee gold, and for iron I will bring thee silver, and instead of wood I will bring you brass, and instead of stones iron, and I will make you thy princes peaceable, and thine overseers righteous. Clearly this hasn't happened yet, because these events, I don't believe that ever happened in the past, where the nations brings honor and gifts and so forth to Israel from all over. And injustice shall no more be heard in thy land, for nor destruction nor misery in the coasts, but thy walls shall be called salvation, and thy gates sculptured work. And thou shalt no more have the sun for a light by day, nor shall the rising of the moon lighten the night, but Yahweh shall be thine everlasting light, and God and Elohim thy glory. This sounds more, rather than a second Exodus, this part sounds more to me like after Yahuwah returns. Or we could say Yahushua returning for the third time, and then Yahuwah, after he stepped in to destroy Gog of Magog, then this would be the period where there's no more sun and moon, where Yahuwah is the light, where Yahushua and Yahuwah is the light on earth. So clearly this is even after the second Exodus, where the verses that I mentioned in the previous video, where Yahweh will rule from, it's that period where he's going to rule from the bottom part of Africa, as those verses says. Just go watch that video, where will Yahweh rule from, and you will see the verses there that says where it is. This is talking about the same period. For the sun shall no more set, nor shall the moon be eclipsed, for Yahweh shall be thy everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be completed. Thy people also shall be all righteous, they shall inherit the land forever, preserving that which they have planted, even the works of their hands for glory. The little ones shall become thousands, and the least a great nation. Yahuwah, Yahuwah, will gather them in due time. Well, this is going to happen before this top part, because it says in due time he's going to gather them, which talks about the second Exodus. But these verses before it talks about after he's gathered them, when he returns after the destruction, with the destruction of Gog of Magog. So yes, that talks about that part of the timeline. Interesting, eh? Let's see, Isaiah 61. The Spirit of Yahweh is upon me, because he has anointed me. He has sent me to preach the glad tidings to the poor, to heal the broken in heart, to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to declare the acceptable year of Yahweh and the day of the recompense, to comfort them that mourn, all that mourn. Remember, this is what Yahushua read from in the temple. That there should be given to them that mourn in Zion glory instead of ashes, the oil of joy to the mourners, the garment of glory for the spirit of heaviness, and they shall be called generations of righteousness, the planting of Yahuwah for glory. And they shall build the old waste places, they shall raise up those that were made desolate, and shall renew the desert cities, even those that had been desolate to many generations. Remember, I mentioned this in the previous video. Here again, I'll just say that clearly it says that Israel, cities, and Jerusalem is desolate. Because we see in verse 7 here, thus shall they inherit the land a second time, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. The second time refers to the second Exodus. So, these places are desolate when the second Exodus happened. And has the second Exodus happened yet? No. So the Israel up in Palestine and Jerusalem there is fake. Verse 5, and strangers shall come and feed your flocks, and aliens shall be your plowmen and vine dressers. But you shall be called priests of Yahuwah. See, this is what Yahuwah desired for Israel originally. In the law, he said he wanted the Israelites to be priests for him. But of course they were rebellious and didn't want to keep his commandments. So he rejected them as priests. But ye shall be called priests of Yahuwah, the ministers of Yahuwah. Ye shall eat the strength of the nations and shall be admired because of their wealth. You see here, as these Israelites, they are blessings to the nations because of their hand in these nations. The nations will be also blessed. Thus shall they inherit the land a second time, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. For I am Yahuwah, who love righteousness and hate robberies or injustice, and I will give their labor to the just, and will make an everlasting covenant with them. Looks like Yahuwah will make another covenant with the Israelites in those days, like he made with Abraham. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring in the midst of peoples. Every one that sees them shall take notice of them, that they are a seed blessed of Yahuwah. So people will be able to see who is the remnant of Israel. They will just know that you are part of that remnant. And they shall greatly rejoice in Yahuwah. Let my soul rejoice in Yahuwah, for he has clothed me with the robe of salvation and the garment of joy. He has put a mitre on me as on a bridegroom, and adorned me with ornaments as a bride. So it seems that to refer to the bride of Yahuwah or Yahushua, maybe being a reference to Revelation, where the marriage of the bride talks about the dress of righteousness that she wears. And let's see, verse 11. And as the earth putting forth her flowers, and as a garden its seed, so shall the Yahuwah, even Yahuwah, cause righteousness to spring forth, and exaltation before all nations. Yes, the remnant of Israel will be a blessing to all the nations, because they will be keeping the commandments and set an example for the other nations. And their willingness to obey Yahuwah will become a blessing to the other nations. Isaiah 62. For Zion's sake I will not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until her righteousness go forth as light, and my salvation burns as a torch. So Yahweh's salvation referring to saving the remnant of Israel from across the earth, bringing them to one place, and also that he's writing his laws and teaching his laws to these Israelites, and then their righteousness goes forth as a light to the other nations. These two events, Yahuwah is looking forward to fulfilling them. We can see it here. He says, I will not rest. There's two things that he wants to accomplish with the second Exodus. He wants to do that, and then he wants to place his laws, all his laws that we are supposed to keep in our hearts. As the previous verse said, he is going to teach his laws to the people. And the Gentiles shall see the righteousness, and kings the glory. And one shall call thee by a new name, which Yahuwah shall name. So the people will receive a new name. They won't be called Israelites anymore. They will be called something else. And this is similar to the previous chapter, also talking about the nations and kings seeing their righteousness. They'll know you're an Israelite, or will be called something else then. But they will know it because they will see Yahuwah in you, shining out of you. This reminds me of what I read in the book of the Nazarene. It's the very good gospel of Yahushua's life. It's even more in-depth than the four gospels of the Bible. I think it's also called the Gospel of the Kalades. It mentions there the glory of Yahuwah on Yahushua, that people could see like a purplish light around him, shining around him when he was on earth, showing how the strong anointing of the Spirit on him, that the people actually could see it in daylight and at night, and that on the disciples there was a faint light shining on them, but you could only really notice it at night. So it was interesting that Yahushua had this purple light shining around him when he was on earth, and people could see that Yahuwah's Spirit is upon him. And that's what I'm thinking of when I read the Gentiles shall see the righteousness and the kings their glory. They'll see the people's glory shining out. And thou shalt no more be called, are we there? What's it? And thou shalt be a crown of beauty in the hand of Yahuwah, the royal diadem in the hand of Elohim. And thou shalt no more be called forsaken, and thy land shall no more be called desert. You see, the land of Israel and Jerusalem will no more be forsaken and desolate. For thou shalt be called my pleasure, and thy land inhabited. See, they will be inhabited again. At the moment they're not inhabited. For Yahweh has taken pleasure in thee, and thy land shall be inhabited. How many times have we heard it from Isaiah now? That the land's not inhabited, that it's desert, or rather that it's forsaken and desolate. And not just Jerusalem, but the surrounding cities. So clearly we don't have the real Israel up there in Palestine. And as a young man lives with a virgin, so shall thy sons dwell in thee. And it shall come to pass that as a bridegroom will rejoice over a bride, so will Yahuwah rejoice over thee. Yes, these Israelites, they will have a special relationship with Yahuwah. Remember I said before that these Israelites, those who call themselves Jews today, they are not Israelites. They only started calling themselves Israelites in 1860, as their own books says. So I'm talking about the real Israelites that Yahweh will gather in the future from across the earth. And on thy walls, Jerusalem, have I set watchmen all day and all night, who shall never cease making mention of Yahuwah. For there is none like you, when ye shall have established and made Jerusalem praise on the earth. For Yahuwah has sworn by his glory and by the might of his arm, I will no more give thy corn and thy provisions to thine enemies, nor shall strangers any more drink thy wine for which thou hast labored. Yes, at the moment, the enemies, the Edomites, those who control the world, they steal people's wealth and energy, and you feel like you're working for nothing, you're not accomplishing anything. But I also think it's pointing to, it reminds me of South Africa, how much gold they've been stealing from those people, and diamonds over the years. How many tons have they stolen? How many people they have killed for that gold in South Africa? I also thought about that when I read this. But they that have gathered them shall eat them, and they shall praise Yahuwah, and they that have gathered the grapes shall drink thereof in my holy courts. Go through my gates, and make a way for my people, and cast the stones out of their way. Lift up a standard for the Gentiles. For behold, Yahuwah has proclaimed to the end of the earth, say ye to the daughter of Zion, behold, thy Saviour has come to thee, having his reward and his work before his face. And one shall call them the holy people, set apart people. the redeemed of Yahuwah. Thou shalt be called a city sought out, and not forsaken. See, it's not forsaken anymore. It's found. And I just wanted to mention there's a previous verse of Isaiah that I've read that says no more will be added to the number of the remnant. It sounds like there's only a set amount of people that Yahweh will gather, and their descendants will fill Africa, or the bottom part of Africa eventually. There's just a set amount of them that will be gathered, and none be added afterwards. So, that means you must, if you want to be part of that group, you need to sort out your life and keep the commandments, because that's a prerequisite for you to enter Yahuwah's territory. If you don't keep his commands, you will never make it. You will never be accepted into that area. You won't be allowed. Isaiah 64. If thou would open the heaven, trembling will take hold upon the mountains from you, and they shall melt. Wow, this is true. David also mentions this a few times. I think he mentions in Psalms, of course, that if Yahweh comes down on a mountain, it melts like wax. That's also one of the prophets mentions this. And it reminds me of Mount Sinai that I found, the real Mount Sinai. I found it, and when I zoomed in on it, you could see it's melted like wax. And that's part of the mountain where he sat is burnt black, where the rest of the mountain is yellowish brown. And I found his footprint on the mountain and his handprint on the mountain, the dents where his legs went over the top of the mountain, his thighs, when he sat down. It's all amazing finding these things on the real mountain. Yes, he had the footprint itself is about 500 meters length by 200 meters wide. So it was amazing finding it. I almost fell out of my chair when I actually zoomed in and saw these things on the mountain. You can go watch my video, I think my first video on Mount Sinai, and I'll show you the images there if you're interested. But yes, it's melted like wax, just like this verse says. As wax melts before the fire, and fire shall burn up the enemies, and thy name shall be manifest among the adversaries. At thy presence the nations shall be troubled. I believe referring to Gog of Magog, battle. Whenever you shall work gloriously, trembling from you, these shall take hold upon the mountains. From of old we have not heard, neither have our eyes seen Elohim besides thee, and thy works which thou wilt perform to them that wait for mercy. For these blessings shall happen to them that work righteousness. See, who receives these blessings, who receives his protection? Those who keeps the commandments. Remember, that's the definition of righteousness. And they shall remember the ways. Behold, thou wast angry, and we have sinned. We have lived lawless. Therefore we have erred, and we are all become as unclean, and all our righteousness as filthy rag, and we have fallen as leaves because of our lawlessness. Thus the wind shall carry us away, and there is none that calls upon thy name, or that remembers to take hold of thee, for thou hast turned thy face away from us, and hast delivered us up because of our lawlessness. And now, Yahweh, thou art our Father, and we are clay, all of us the work of thine hands. Be not very wroth with us, and remember not our lawlessness forever, but now look on us, for we are all thy people. Talking about them being Israelites. Yahweh not to forget them, because they are his Israelites. He promised to Abraham that he will bless them, He made a covenant with him and his descendants, which is the Israelites. The city of thy holiness has become desolate. Zion has become as a wilderness, Jerusalem a curse. You see, this is the state those places are in at the moment. And now Zion, the wilderness, Jerusalem, the city, but other cities also, they're desolate at the moment and cursed, but that will be lifted and when after the second Exodus. Yes, we are at the last chapter. Isaiah 66. Before she that travailed brought forth, before the travail pain came on, she escaped it and brought forth a male. Who has heard such a thing, and who has seen after this manner? Has the earth travailed in one day, or has even a nation been born at once? That Zion has travailed and brought forth her children. It says here that this event will happen so quick, where there's just a few people, suddenly there will be millions of them all together, huddled together there in South Africa. As Nicholas van Rensburg said, they'll be living in white tents there along the coastlines. The people that comes, and there's actually a prophecy in the Bible that says that Israel will again live in white tents. I think it says white tents, but it says in tents. Yeah, no, in tents. Which is amazing because this is actually what's going to happen. As that other prophet said of the Boer prophet. So it says here that before she that travailed brought forth, a male child was born, and is talking about the sudden coming of, with the second Exodus of the Israelites to South Africa. Or has even a nation been born at once, that Zion has travailed and brought forth her children? But I have raised this expectation, yet thou hast not remembered me, saith Yahweh. Behold, I made the bearing and barren woman, saith Yahweh. Rejoice, Jerusalem, and all ye that love her, hold in her general assembly, rejoice greatly with her, all that now mourn over her. That ye may suck, and be satisfied with the breast of her consolation, that ye may milk out, and delight yourselves with the influx of her glory. For thus say Yahweh, Behold, I turn toward them as a river of peace, and as a torrent bringing upon them in a flood the glory of the Gentiles. You see, again he mentions that the Gentiles blessing the nation. So many times it's mentioned. Their children shall be borne upon the shoulders, and comforted on the knees, as if his mother shall comfort one, so will I also comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. So, see, the original Jerusalem will then not be desolate anymore. It will be built up again, restored and occupied. And ye shall see, and your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall thrive like grass, and the hand of Yahweh shall be known to them that fear him, and he shall threaten the disobedient. For behold, Yahweh will come as a fire, and his chariots as a storm, to render his vengeance with wrath, and his rebuke with a flame of fire. For with the fire of Yahweh all the earth shall be judged, and all flesh with his sword, many shall be slain by Yahuwah. See, this refers to the final judgment. Could be the battle of Gog of Magog, but or I think that's exactly what it refers to, especially when you look at the next verse. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens, and eat swine's flesh in the porches, and the abominations and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith Yahweh. See what will happen at the final judgment of Yahweh. He will destroy those who eat unclean animals. Did you know that? That means you shouldn't be eating pork. all you are Christians who are eating pork, you need to stop doing that. That's a sin, and in the final judgment even Yahweh will destroy those who did it. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian, you'll be destroyed if you eat pork. That's what it says here in the final judgment. And I know their works and their imagination. I am going to gather all the nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory, and I will leave a sign upon them, and I will send forth them that have escaped all of them to the nations, to Tarshish, and Put, and Lud, and Mosach, and to Mosach is probably Meshach, and Tubal, and to Greece, and to the isles of afar off, to those who have not heard my name, nor see my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles. You see here, like I said in the previous verse, I think there will be missionary work done by the Israelites, the remnant, and here it actually mentions it, that they will go to the other nations and go minister to them the truth of Yahuwah. He mentions a few cities and places here. And they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles, and they shall bring your brethren out of all the nations for a gift to Yahweh with horses and chariots, in litters drawn by mules with awnings. It seems like with ministering worldwide, they will also gather Israelites to come with them. To the holy city Jerusalem, saith Yahweh, as though the children of Israel should bring their sacrifices to me with psalms into the house of Yahweh. And I will take all of them, priests and Levites, saith Yahweh. For as the new heaven and the new earth which I make remain before me, saith Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name continue. And it shall come to pass from month to month and from Sabbath to Sabbath, that all flesh shall come to worship before me in Jerusalem, saith Yahweh. Now this is probably referring to the new Jerusalem that will come down. So it seems that I am correct in saying that the new Jerusalem will probably be placed in the middle of Africa, or in the bottom part of Africa, where Yahweh will be reigning from, so that the people can come there Sabbath to Sabbath and month to month. It will be almost impossible for them to do that if this new Jerusalem is outside the Antarctic ring, which some people believe it is there. It could be there at the moment, but I believe it will be placed inside our territory in the future, so that people can visit it from month to month and Sabbath to Sabbath. Like I said, otherwise it's going to be too far for them to get there, except if they can teleport. I don't think that's going to happen. Let's see here. And they shall go forth and see the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, and their fire shall not be quenched, and they shall be a spectacle to all flesh. I don't think they will see people being eaten by worms forever. I think this refers to the bones of those with the battle of Gog of Magog, because they're going to gather these bones, and it is going to take, I think, 7 months. How long is that going to take? I'm not too sure. But no, I think it was longer, 7 years. But they're going to gather the bones, and they're going to burn the stuff for 7 months, something like that. But they're going to gather the bones, and it's going to take a while to gather all those men's bones who got burnt up by Yahuwah's fire. And I think that is what this also refers to, that the worms will eat the flesh that's of the dead soldiers of all the nations that will be surrounding the bottom part of Africa, where Israel will be, and Putin will be also there, probably, And yes, he will be sending the nation's armies to that area because he would like to conquer that in the future. And it will not happen. Like I said in a previous video, they will dream the dream, but it's not going to happen. And I believe that's what this means, this verse 24, the last verse of Isaiah. So there we have it. That's the whole of Isaiah. Talking about the second Exodus, about the final judgment. It talks about the destruction of Gog of Magog, the rebuilding of Jerusalem and the cities, and the occupation of the areas again. Also of Israelites going out as missionaries worldwide to minister and bringing back more Israelites from the nations, it seems. Yes, all amazing stuff that must still happen in our future. And of course the New Jerusalem being placed and people coming to see Yahuwah there from Sabbath to Sabbath and month to month, which tells me it will be placed on a continent in our realm. And I think that would be, according to prophecy, Africa. Being placed in Africa. So there we have it. I'm glad I could have shared this with you guys, this information, and yes, go read it yourself. This is all read from the Greek ISAYAH'S Septuagint. I find it sometimes a bit more accurate than some of the other translations. I don't trust the Masoretic text very much because of what they did with the people's ages. They changed all the dates and stuff, and in the end they're about out 1,500 years with their dates. 1,500 years out is a lot. So ISAYAH has it correct, the dates and the ages of the people when they had children. So you get to 5,500 years when Yahushua was born, which is accurate. I think Masoretic has it around 4,000 years, which is totally wrong. But anyway, this is it. Enjoy your day. Next time, if there's anything in Jeremiah, I will share that. Bye.